Hey guys, I know some of you have been waiting for a teamwork build and it's time to get back into it. Today we're building around the monk. Let's dive in. For today's build, we're building a little bit of a different monk. I've been wanting to do a ranged build on this channel that uses a longbow for a long time. But until now I could never figure out how to do it. But monk is definitely the way to go. For today's ancestry, we're going half elf. We need a few elf feats for this build, but human feats are going to help us more. So that's why we're not going full elf for this build. Monks don't really have a subclass, so we don't need to worry about that. For background, I went with Grave Robber for that stealth skill, since our dex is going to be high anyway. We don't really need stealth for this build, but it's always nice to get that flat-footed condition. But for this build, you can go with any background you want as long as you get the stats you need. Speaking of stats, the starting stats for this build should be Strength 10, Dexterity 18, Constitution 10, Intelligence 12, Wisdom 14, and Charisma 14. For our first class feat for this build, we're going to want to go with Monastic Archer Stance. After all, we do want to use a longbow for this build. This is a stance we can enter when we're in combat. While in this stance, the only strikes we can make are those with a longbow, shortbow, or a bow with the monk traits. While in this stance, we can use flurry of blows and other monk abilities with these bows as long as they don't require a single specific strike, and you are within half the first range increment of the weapon you're using. So that's 50 feet for our longbow. We can also do this with a short bow within 30 feet. Also, when we select this feat, we become trained in longbows, short bows, and bows with the monk traits. Also, as our proficiency in unarmed strikes goes up, so does our proficiency with bows. Then, for our ancestry feat at this level, we're going to go with cooperative nature. This will give us a +4 to aid checks. Since we can use flurry of blows with our bow, that means our multiple attack penalty is going to go up rather quickly. So we definitely need something to do on our third action. And what better teamwork option than aid? For those of you that don't know how aid works, I did cover that in a different video. So check that out right up here in the card. But it's a great option, and this will give us a +4 to it, which is fantastic. Then for level 2, I've gone with Stunning Fist. So when we target the same creature with both of our flurry of blow strikes, we can attempt to stun the creature. If either of our strikes hits, the target must make a Fortitude save against their class DC or become stunned 1. And if they crit fail, they're stunned 3. Unfortunately, this is an incapacitation effect, so this isn't going to work well on bosses. But it's still a fantastic option to take out mooks. Next up, we are going to be taking the Sniping Duo dedication. When we take this dedication, we're going to choose one of our allies that isn't a minion and is willing to become our spotter. That ally gains all the benefits of our feats under the Sniping Duo dedication without having to take the feats themselves. We only gain the benefits of the Sniper Duo dedication if both us and our spotter are alive and conscious. Us and our spotter don't provide lesser cover against each other's attacks. In addition, when either us or our spotter successfully makes a strike, the other member of the duo receives +1 to damage per damage dice on their next attack against the same target. At third level, we get our first general feat, and as usual, I'm just going to go over them all right now, since you can take these in any order you want. First up is Ancestral Paragon, and we want to pick up Nimble Elf for more speed. Then, of course, the 3 feats I always take for every build that I do on this channel: Die Hard, Toughness, and Canny Acumen for whatever save you do not pick for your Path to Perfection. Toughness for more hit points, Die Hard so we don't die as quickly, and Canny Acumen to increase the save that won't be as high as the other 2. Then at level 4, we will want to take our first key spell, that being Key Rush. For one action, we can move 2 times, whether that's 2 strides, 2 steps, or a step and a stride in either order. We also gain the concealed condition during this movement and until the start of our next turn. This is another way that we can get good action economy with this build. Plus being concealed is always good. Next up is assisting shot. For one action we can make a range strike. If we hit with this range strike, then the next person to attack the target besides you gets a +1 circumstance bonus to their attack roll, or a +2 if we happen to get a critical hit. Yes, this does have the press trait, so we will need to do this after an attack. However, sometimes it's worth it not to go for the flurry of blows, and instead go for a regular attack and then this. This is just more options for us. And then we come to level 5 and our ancestry feats. We're going to pick up Clever Improviser. This will give us half our level, and later our full level as a proficiency bonus to all of our untrained skills. And we can make skill actions that require us to be trained even if we're not trained. Always good to have extra skills. Alright guys, time for the first teamwork report. For today's strategy, what you want to do is keep your opponents at range and debuff them. Right now, all we can do is hit them with stunning fists. Or I should say stunning arrows. Stunning may not be as good as making them slowed, but it can take the enemies out of the fight for a round, which is almost as good. We're mostly going to want to be working with our spotter here, especially at high levels. But we can still use assisting shot to help other members of our party. And Key Rush will help us stay at range against enemies. Granted, we are going to have to be within 50 feet of our targets in order to use our stunning arrows. However, this build does have other ways to help, so we can be at further range as well. We just can't right now. For our ancestry feats, Cooperative Nature is just going to help us with aid, which is something we can do on our third action, especially since we're going to need to be within 50 feet anyway. And Clever Improviser is to help us with our skills. Every skill in the game does have some teamwork potential, and that will basically make us trained in every skill in the game, which may come in clutch. Okay, real quickly, it's time for the rest of the feats for this build. As 6th is Abundant Step, to make it even harder for enemies to get to us. Then Exploit Opening, so we can attack even when it's not our turn. Then at level 8, Pinning Fire will allow us to keep enemies in one place without needing to critically hit with our bow. Then we need something to do besides debuff foes, so we're going to be taking the Eldritch Archer dedication here. Eldritch Archer spells go off Charisma, so that's why we need that. This will allow us to get spells. And the best 2 spell lists for the Eldritch Archer archetype are Primal and Arcane. If you want to do more than hit enemy weaknesses, which is what we're going for here, then go Primal. Otherwise, go Arcane. We also get the Eldritch Shot activity. For 3 actions, we can combine a spell with a ranged attack roll. Then Incredible Improvisation will make us even better with those untrained skills. Then at level 10, it's time for Precious Arrow. This will allow us to hit the weaknesses of enemies that are weak to metal. Then, for the free archetype on this level and at 12th level, we'll want to take Basic and Expert Eldritch Archer spellcasting for better spells. Speaking of level 12, we'll also want to take Meditative Focus. Lots of focus spells in this build, so we want to be able to get our focus points back quickly. Then we'll take Cooperative Soul, so we can't fail or crit fail on aid checks anymore. At level 14, it's time for Focused Shot. For one action, if we're in Monastic Archer stance, then we can make a range strike that ignores concealment and all cover. Tag team will let us or our spotter make up for the other's weakness. We can use this reaction whenever us or our spotter misses an attack. If our spotter missed, then we can make a ranged attack as a reaction. If we miss, then our spotter can make a melee attack as a reaction. At 16th, we've got another monk feat we can use with our bow. That being Medusa's Wrath. For 2 actions and a focus point, we can make an unarmed strike. This strike has the following additional effects. If we critically hit, the target is slowed 1 and must make a fortitude saving throw at the end of each of its turns. This ongoing save has the incapacitation trait. If they fail on their save, then their slowed condition increases by 1, or on 2 if they critically fail. A successful save reduces the condition by 1. When they're unable to act due to the slow condition, they become petrified. On a successful strike, it works the same except that the target is initially slowed 1. Then we'll take Eagle Eyes so us and our spotter can't be caught flat-footed by hidden, undetected, or flanking enemies of our level or lower. Then Elf Step so that we can get out of sticky situations with melee attackers. At level 18, it's Meditative Wellspring to get our focus points back even quicker. Then Master Eldritch Archer Spellcasting for even more powerful spells. Then at level 20, we're going to start with Triangle Shot, which allows us to make 3 strikes at our current multiple attack penalty for 2 actions. Killing Fist also applies to these strikes, even though it isn't Flurry of Blows. Also, if all 3 strikes hit, the target takes 3d6 persistent bleed damage. And then we'll take Arrow of Death to possibly just outright kill enemies. Okay, for Teamwork Report number 2, now that we've got our spells, we want to mostly use cantrips for our elemental damage, since those will stack with our level. However, we will need level spells for other effects. For example, maybe we'll want to transform into a creature that will actually help in certain encounters, if our foe is resistant to piercing damage. Or maybe we want to debuff foes with our spells so that it's even easier for us to hit them. And Medusa's Wrath will work extremely well against creatures of our level. If you like this build, then go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Pathfinder 2e teamwork content. Also, if you want Google Sheets for this build and a bunch of other builds, you can check out the link in the description below for my Patreon page. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, teamwork is vital.